So with that, let me go ahead and get these quotes together because I'm going to read a little bit. And we're going to read basically on whether or not your family has love for you or hate for you, or they support you or they don't. And we're going to be able to clearly make a dichotomy between the two. We're going to deal with the Kali Yuga, or the different four ages, which is called the Yugas. And it's so many Yugas that make up what's called a Manvantara. I can get into that another day. But basically, the cosmos is made up of these cycles of ages. And those cycles are in a microcosm in your family and in your life, and a macrocosm with the cosmos. So there's a Kali Yuga in your everyday, in your every year, and in your life. And there's a Kali Yuga that's cosmic, that's beyond comprehension. So, as above, so below. So let me get these quotes, and I'm going to read some of this. Okay, so like I said, the holy man renounces family, whether they're good or bad. And we're going to get into why. Let me get my Bible. So we're going to start off with the Bible, and we're going to go into even more holy text, but we're going to try and make it quick. So we're going to go to Luke chapter 14, verse 26. So let's go there. It says, if any man come to me, and it's just the Christ figure speaking, if any man come to Christ and hate not his mother and father and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, even his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. So that word hate right there is strong, but basically what it's saying is if you don't cling or basically renounce your family and your own life, which is basically nothing but an illusion, Maya, and what bondage, then you cannot be a disciple. You cannot get liberated. So, okay, so we read Matthew chapter 24, verse 12, which I'm about to go to. We get more insight on this. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, verse 12, it says, and because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right, so basically what you can understand is, like I said, in the Kali Yuga, this is called Asceticism. Asceticism is the study of the end times, like the apocalypse and so on, the end of the world. So remember, the Kali Yuga and the Puranas and the Upanishads basically is the same as the end of the world in the eschatology of the New Testament and the Old Testament, right? This whole idea of the end of the world coming. And we just saw in the book of Mark, chapter 10, where this Christ, Yeshua, or Jesus, is talking about during that time, the Kali Yuga, that the love of many and the hearts of many shall wax cold, right? So like I said, that's when these 7 demons will basically possess the whole population, basically, and your family. You got to be careful, and this is how you know if they are demons, because they'll just be spectators, right? They'll be enemies. They won't be allies. Let's go to Micah chapter 7, verse 5 through 7. So it says, trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a guide. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. Verse 6, for the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are the men of his own house. So it's very clear. So for people who are all into optimism and who are all into hopism, like hopium, not opium, but hopium, and they refuse, because of this illusion, they refuse to look at the truth of what life really is. They won't understand that. In many of these ancient societies, they understood that it's very possible that your own enemies could be those people of your own household. And very, very rarely are they allies in your household. Majority of the time, they are enemies. And I can go into why, but matter of fact, we're going to read about why. Okay, Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. It says, a friend loveth at all times, but a brother is born for adversity. Right? A friend loveth at all times, but a brother is born for adversity. Why does it say that? Because you got to understand the nature In this game of life, there's a competition over resources. And why is there competition? Well, if you look at the animal kingdom, you gotta understand that there's a limited of prey, there's a limited of fruits and vegetables, a limited of space, right? So when we say resources, we talk about space, food, water, river systems. So there's a limited amount of rivers on this planet. There's a limited amount of food or money to be earned or gained, and because of that, humans and animals, we're constantly in competition and at war. So a brother is made for adversity. Why? Because there's limited amount of resources in the family. All families get an inheritance of land or property or resources. And so immediately, if you got four brothers, it's split. The inheritance is split between the four brothers. If either one of them brothers doesn't renounce the inheritance or the resources, it says, I don't even need it. I'm going to seek God because I'm not of the material world. Remember, he's a holy man. If one of the brothers does not become holy and both of them try to be good, they're going to end up both being enemies. So a brother is made for adversity. So examples of this is Cain and Abel, right? That's nothing but a allegory or folklore about human origins and our development and how we were at war over resources and war over whether it be agriculture or animal grazing, which would be like farming. So we were at war. And another example is Jacob and Esau, right, in the book of Genesis. There's plenty of examples of this, basically, where brothers are made for adversity. So in one context, the brother is supposed to be your chariot or the devotion or act of your soul or your light. But you got to understand, because that's a rare occasion that you're born in these good families, these holy families, the brother ends up being born for your adversity. And the word adversity basically means to add to your verse, meaning verse just means your turn or your spiral. So you could be trying to spiral upward, right, or trying to move forward and develop your life, but your brother is an adverse, meaning he takes you the opposite way, right, to turn you the opposite way. And that's basically what the adversary is. They turn you the opposite way of where you're trying to go. Sirach is in the Apocrypha. We got one right here. Comes out of the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha basically is one of the main chunks of books that were taken out of the Bible. But out of the Apocrypha, basically, is the book of Sirach. It says, accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. So just because you reverence or you feel some type of affection for a family member, if I'm telling you they're an enemy, I say, what is an enemy? They don't make sure, they don't invest in you to make sure that you have protection. I mean, they see you out there naked without a weapon, without some type of way to defend yourself. They don't give you no provision. They don't help you with getting resources, land or money or different things like that. Meaning they see you out here starving and they just spectate. And they make sure that you don't have a mate, because really that's what the competition is over. So if they see that you ain't got a mate, which basically can cause a lot of disturbances in our biology, they are spectated, they are enemy. So it says out of the book of Sirach, accept no person against thy soul. So if they're against your soul, don't accept them. You see. Let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall. So don't let the reverence of any man or woman cause thee to fall from you spiraling upward. Don't fall for any adversary or enemy. So I'm gonna move on to the next book. Now this is going to get into the Kemetic literature. These Kemetic texts are called the wisdom texts, or the Seba'ite texts, or the Sebiet texts. But yeah, these are called the Egyptian wisdom texts. And we're going to read the instructions of Amenemhat. And basically it says, fill not thy heart with a brother, know not a trusted friend. Make for thyself no familiar dependence. In these things there is no satisfaction. So it's real clear. Fill not thy heart with a brother, know not a trusted friend. Right? Fill not thy heart with thy brother. Instructions of Ani. A real popular text. Okay, it says, deeds that are effective toward a stranger are very noxious to a brother. The word obnoxious and noxious basically just means they're very arrogant or very imposing. So they're very annoying. So a brother, you can do certain deeds for people who are strangers, like people that you don't know, like giving them charity or giving them alms or money or helping them out, doing favors for them, and they're appreciative. They really are thankful that you did that for them. But a brother, because there's a competition of resources because he's not your ally, or your sister because they're not your ally, they can hate you or resent you just for trying to help them. You see what I'm saying? We'll get into the reason why, but like I said, overall, it's because life is just basically a competition over resources. So you got to get past the illusion of the value of family. There really is no value to it unless they're cooperating with the principles I just put on this board. If they don't represent those symbols or concepts of that divine deities that I put on the board, those spirits, then they really are the negative spirits, the demons, which I told you in this era of humanity, in these last days of this nation or society, this Western civilization, they're going to be of the principles of the Kali Yuga, which I can go into more into the future, but basically it just represents the 7 demons. So that's when they become full blown, and we'll read quotes on that in a minute, bro. So this is out of the instructions of Annie again. Your people will hail you when you are joyful. They will weep freely when you are sad. When you are lonely, you find your relations. So like I said, it says they will hail you when you are joyful. So like I said, if they're not teammates or allies, then they just spectators. When you are in joy, they not enjoy. You know what I mean? If you get a touchdown, if you get a win, they not celebrating. They just spectators. They like, you could win or lose. If you lose, if they don't weep with you, like I said, okay, let's read out of the instructions of Ankh Shishak, right? Ankh Shishak. It says, do not hand over your property to your younger brother and thereby make him act as your elder brother. Instructions of Ankh Shishak, right? It says, do not go to your brother when you are in distress. Go to your friend. Why do you not go to your brother? Because your friend outright might not have no reason to really be supportive of you other than just being an ally in itself. But your brother, you can't really know if it's really an ally or not. You're both just born in the same house. So don't go to your brother when you're in distress because you can't trust whether or not they're going to use that against you later. But go to your friend because you know your friend is there for a reason. So, instructions of Ankh Shishak again, it says, better no brother than one who is evil. Like I said, it's better to have no brother to renounce it or not deal with it than to have one of these 7 demons that you got to deal with. Instructions of Ankh Shishak, it says, my brother is useless if he does not take care of me. Well, that goes into the point that I made earlier. Your Bharata or brother is useless unless he has devotion to act for your soul or towards your light. So if he doesn't take care of you, he's useless. It's not that you don't even have a brother. So we read the next quote. It says, instructions of Ankh Shishak. It is the battle that a man finds a brother. There we go again. So like I said, if your brother does not protect you when it comes to weapons and warfare, because remember, like I said, this society and its nature is about nothing but brutality. It's war. So if you're a man, you have to fight for your place as an alpha male or a theta male, or you're going to be a beta male and you're going to be defeated. So if your brother is not helping you defend yourself and teaching you how to fight, not giving you pistols, not giving you a weapon or teaching you how to use weapons, he's, like I said, he's just a spectator. So you'll find a brother in battle. That's what the quote is saying. So we're going to now read the instructions of the papyrus in Singa. And it says, one does not discover the heart of a brother if one has not begged from him in want. So you don't know the heart of your brother unless you ask him to help you with provision. Now, we're not trying to say your brother should just owe you money or nothing like that just because you're your brother. Now, we're not saying that. We're saying that when you're at it's going to happen for most humans. You're going to reach misfortune. And when that happens, your brother should be able to already have invested in you different tactics and methods to be able to get wealth and money enough to take care of yourself and a family if you're going to be building a family. If your brother didn't show no concern for that, like you've never seen him come up to you and ask you, Do you know where you're going to eat? How you're going to get money? If you never was concerned about that, he's an enemy. I'm telling you. So it's just a personality or a mask that you're dealing with, but it's really a demon or antagonist that's behind all of that. Because remember, like I said, it says brothers are made for adversity. If they're not showing a level of concern for your provision and money, it's because they want yours and they want you to be in misfortune and destroyed. So, same book, it says, "Do not beg a gift from an evil brother in the family." So remember, if you already been picked out that it's evil, and no one is absolutely evil in all of this, and we'll get into why people become evil. We got to remember, everybody is suffering from something or in some type of angle, from some perspective. So this is not judgment here, but this is just understanding, and for you to be able to navigate and move and protect your soul and yourself and your mind, your mentality. But it just said, do not beg a gift from an evil brother in the family. So if you already picked out that they're evil, meaning you get that they're against you, they're not your ally based on these things, then don't beg nothing, don't ask nothing of them. Same book, okay, it says, "There is no brother in a family except the brother who is kind-hearted." So there we go again. If your brother isn't kind-hearted, meaning not giving devotion or doing actions for your soul or your light, not trying to help you get to the heart chakra or the heart center, then you don't have a brother, basically. That's what we're saying. Okay, now this is out of Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to go ahead and read this. So this is out of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 37. So let me get there. "O Janadharna, although these men overtaken by greed see no fault in killing one's family and quarreling with one's friends, why should we, with knowledge of the sin, engage in these acts?" And it says, "With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in religious practice. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the woman of the family become corrupt, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny." Right? When there is increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such corrupt families, there is no offering of oblations of food and water to the ancestors. Due to the evil deeds of the destroyers of the family tradition, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. 1 minute. Okay, yeah. It says, "O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplinic succession that those who destroy family traditions dwell always in hell." Now this is interesting. I'm explaining it in a minute. "Alas, how strange is it that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness." So basically what this is saying is, at a certain point in a family's decline in their divine traditions or their sacred traditions, and you gotta understand, we as black people, today we mostly are Christian, but in West Africa we were under 3 major spiritual systems, or 4. And that's the Vodun system of Benin, or the Dahomey people, Ifa, which is the same as Vodun, but it's also the Yoruba, the Igbo is another major one, and the Akan. Now there's other West African systems, but those are the major ones that made it across the waters. And basically the loss of those traditions, it says basically that the family was going to turn in on each other, and basically they're going to be in hell. So basically that's where we are now. So basically our family, your attachment and your relationship with your family can be nothing but literally hell, because you're trapped with these 7 demons. And the eschatology, or the end times of that particular season of your people's experience. So that was out of the Bhagavad Gita, right? And basically it dealt with the decline of the family, basically chaos in the family, or social chaos, no unity in the family, and that basically this family will be dwelling in hell. These families will be dwelling in hell. And it says the woman will get corrupt. Well, men and women, but basically the reason why it says woman is because it doesn't expect the woman to become corrupt against her own family. And basically, when a woman become corrupt, it means that your sister, your good wishes becomes your evil wishes. And she becomes negative asanas or memories or impressions in your subconscious. And that's where we at right now. Your sisters are giving brothers vasanas, negative vasanas, or what are called samskaras, which are mental scars. And your mother, which is supposed to be your provider, your nurturer, supposed to give you your material to help you survive, is now become evil, is not providing you anything, not helping you. So, and obviously if the woman can turn and become corrupt, then obviously the men are definitely corrupt. And so what would your brother be? Your brother wouldn't be giving you his actions or devotions to your soul and giving you light or shedding light and being your willpower. He would be trying to unmotivate you, destroy you, and shed darkness on you. You know what I'm saying? To throwing shade on you and everything you do. So basically, the males, and your father would not be there to give you order, guidance, and give you structure, right? To give you a pattern in your life to go by, a blueprint. Your father would care less if you have a blueprint. Well, that's when the family becomes corrupt and even the women become corrupt. Now we're going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, which is another Hindu, so-called Hindu, which is really Dravidian holy text. It's out of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, in the Kali Yuga, a person's propriety or righteousness will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living. So keep that in mind. I'm going to deal with that in a minute. But a person will be judged unholy if he does not have money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. So that's where we are right now. Where people value money to the extent where they judge you as unholy or unspiritual or unblessed by God if you don't have no money, which is really the very opposite and evil type of concept or idea. But that's what will happen in the last season or stage or age of any nation or any society. And that's important because you understand your family will judge you as evil just for the sake of you being broke or not having money. See what I'm saying? They won't even help you get provisional money. That's how you know that they're your enemy, if they judge you for being broke. So if families are that distant from each other or that lack of closeness where they are talking behind your back or judging you because you don't drive this car, because you drive that beat down car, because you behind on your bills or you in debt or whatever type of bad financial misfortune, that's your enemies. That's not your allies. That's not your family. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, your family will make sure ahead of time in childhood that they prepared you for resources, for you to be self-dependent and for you to be at a certain level of peace. So that will make them a teammate or a coach. But the reality is most of us are dealing with spectators, meaning they're not really enemies on the other side of the game. They really just on the bleachers or in the bleachers watching, observing to see what happens. So let's read more out of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, family ties, and this is when it gets to the core of it, family ties will extend no further than the immediate bonds of marriage. And that's where we're at now. So basically, today, people don't deal with their father, mother, their brother, their sister, their uncles, aunts, nieces, and nephews, or grandparents. They just deal with the people who they married to. That's it. And their sons and their children, their sons and their daughter, and who they married to. So whatever female he's married to, he might deal with the female and her mother, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it said is going to happen in the Kali Yuga. You're only going to deal with pretty much the people that you become married to. Whether it's, if you're a female, your husband. If you're a male, your wife. That's all you deal with. And you deal with an isolated single family and not a big extended family. Just you and Bonnie and Clyde. Just you and your girlfriend. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It says, in the Kali Yuga, men would develop hatred for each other even over a few coins. You can understand. Because there's competition over resources, you can get into it with your own cousin or your siblings just over a few dollars and a few bit of money. Just a little bit of money. And that's the same thing with our community. Whether it's a city or town, we'll kill each other over just $100. Easy. So that's what said, again, that's what it says will happen when we're in the fourth age or the last stage of our society. Uh, Here we go out of Srimad Bhagavatam again. It says, giving up all family relations, they will be ready to lose their own lives and kill even their own relatives. There we go again. This is out of Mahabharata. It says avarice. Basically, avarice is basically the desire for wealth or materialism, and especially from other people. So avarice and wrath will become common. Humans will openly display animosity towards each other. Ignorance of Dharma will occur. Now, Dharma is what Pata is, the pattern of the law, and also Ma'at, the law of Ma'at. In West Africa, we say Ifa amongst the Dahomey people, and amongst the Yoruba, we say Ifa, what basically represents the law. The Hebrews have the Torah and the Ten Commandments and so on, the Tanakh. Basically, that law, that holy law, the whole world will become ignorant of it. And that's basically what's going on right now in America and throughout the world. No one even knows of these cosmic laws or these spiritual laws at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. That's powerful because at one point, all the societies were built on these laws initially. But like I said, going to the fourth age or the last stage of any society, they forget that holy law. And like it says, they will be able to be at a point where they will show open hatred or animosity towards each other, and wrath and avarice will be common, right? And basically, wrath just basically means hatred with anger. Okay, so now we're reading out the Bhagavata Purana and the Vishnu Purana. It says, children will not regard or pay due respects to their parents. Children would maintain relations with parents till their marriage only and not after that. So like I said, the children wouldn't deal with the extended family. Only their wife, and if it's a woman, only her husband. That's it. Or boyfriend and girlfriend pretty much too. Because really, that's what it really is. Not even husband and wife, but boyfriend and girlfriend. That's it. And then, that's not even going to last long. So women will feel most insecure, and even her near and dear ones would become untrustworthy. Men belonging to their own gotras or their own bloodlines would try to exploit her. So basically, it says that life will get to the point where women, mother, daughter, sister, aunt, niece, will not even be able to trust their father, son, brother, uncle, nephew, and cousins, because they will become untrustworthy and they will try to exploit her, either for sex or money, or try to abuse her, right? Which means not defend her or protect her. So it says that women will even become endangered to their own men, not men that are strange and outside of the village, outside of the family, but men in their own family. So that's where we at now. Because most females or women in the black community definitely don't trust their fathers. And very rarely do they have good relationships with their brothers. The uncles, they very much known to sexually exploit them and rape them or whatever, molest them. And their cousins, most of the females probably don't even talk to their male cousins or don't even relate to each other. So basically, these scriptures they're proven right in our experience right here in America modern day. So let's keep moving. But this is out of the book of Enoch, the first book of Enoch, chapter 99, verse 5. It says, many poor will seize and cast out their children, even the suckling, meaning even the toddlers, the suckling, and not return or have mercy on them. Their offspring will slip from them. So basically that's talking about not just orphans, but basically children being neglected and being outcast from their parents. Same verse. It says, many will not have mercy on even their beloved ones, their family, their children, or their people. And that's where we at now, basically. Trust no one, right? I'm going to show you quotes on that about trust. But basically, trust nobody. You see what I'm saying? Me against the world, like Tupac said. Trust nobody, right? So that's where we were prophesied to be at in the books of Enoch, right? Many will not have mercy on their beloved ones. So I'm going to keep moving in the book of Enoch. It says, this is chapter 8. Many will sink into evil by the folly of their hearts. Folly just means ignorance or foolishness of their heart. Eyes blinded through the fear of their hearts, through the visions of their ambitions. Now, the reason why your family will be going so much against you, and if you have so much enemies in your own family, is because they be blinded through the foolishness of their heart, right? Their hearts is in darkness. Through the foolishness of their hearts, and because of their fear to survive, they will go against you through the visions of their ambitions. So when you see people that are so ambitious and they're all about their goals, they're going to immediately start being antagonistic against you because they're waiting for you to support them. But they're not looking for themselves to support you because they have these ambitions. They're trying to become at a higher status than you. So most people in our culture, which is black culture and Western American culture, we criticize people who we call as haters because they're not successful. But what we don't understand is the people who are successful are only successful because they want it to be better than their own family or their own people. And so that whole drive of ambition usually is from the ego and from coming straight out of competition, out of this game of life. And you gotta understand the competition, there's winners and there's losers. So if your family is your enemy, it's because they very much so much want to be a winner. Not everybody in the family can be a winner. Somebody's going to be better than the other. They so ambitious to be a winner that by default, they have to make sure that you're a loser. Chad. So, this is still out of the book of Enoch. This is chapter 100, verse 1 through 2. Fathers and sons will strike one another, and brothers together will fall in death, until their blood flows as it were a stream. So we know from the streets that definitely we've seen cousins murder each other and kill each other. And even in rare occasions, we see brothers kill each other. And when the saying brother, it just basically means those of the same race or the same nation. But it's clear what the quote is saying. This is out of the Vishnu Purana. It says, Krishna says, I take away all of the wealth from whom I bestow my grace. When they are poor, their relatives desert them. I even render their efforts useless when they try to earn money. Thus, being unsuccessful repeatedly, the people develop an attitude of indifference for wealth. Then they begin to take shelter as my devotee. Only then do I bestow my grace on them, and they receive me. So what it just said in the Vishnu Purana basically is that God, or your soul, your Atma, which is in mythology considered Krishna, in the Gnostic text is called, or the biblical New Testament is Christ, right? That primordial spark from God. That part of your soul will jeopardize your wealth. That way it can remove your disingenuous family from you. So they can, what does it say? Isolate you. And 1 minute, it says desert you. Yeah, your relatives desert you. It's so that God can grant his grace on you and bring you spiritual liberation. So like I said, the solution for all of these problems, if your family is not at least this, so you can produce or develop the good, then it's best for you to take the holy path and just seek spiritual liberation. Because you can't have both. You can't have family and spiritual liberation. Because one is an illusion, one is bondage, and the other one is liberation. The two total opposites of the coin. But there's three types of people that be watching this. The evil will resent their family, begin to practice the evil of these 7 negative principles or these 7 demons against their own family. Because now they have this resentment or bitterness because of these evil vasanas, right? These evil vasanas or impressions. But the good would learn how to treat their family based on these principles. But the holy would renounce family altogether and become liberated from them. This is out of the Bible, Proverbs chapter 19, verse 7. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words, yet they are wanting to him. So this is key, out of the book of Proverbs, right? So Solomon is basically telling us that all the brethren of the poor do hate him. So you have to understand, unless your family shows unconditional love, that ain't your family. Those are demons, 7 demons. And you have to be able to get free from them. And the only way to get free is to renounce and take the holy path, like we said. As I said many times earlier, I said family is bondage. So let's get into this. The etymology, the origins of the word family come from the word dome or Tamil, not a F, but a T, Tamil, and also dom or DAM or DOM, which is where you get the word domestic from. Remember, you get the word domestic, which means house or home, which is family, but you also get the word dominate, because like we saw earlier, even inside the family, there's a competition over resources. So if they're a spectator, you might as well count them as an enemy. And you gotta understand that's because they're trying to dominate you. So when it comes to the word or etymology of the word family, it means bondage itself. It means slavery or to be a slave. And I'll show you the reference for that on the screen. So let's get into this. Why would the English word or Latin and Greek word family mean servant or slave? Because you have to understand, if I'm a father and I give birth to children during that time, we would have practiced nepotism, meaning I would have hired my own children to work on my farm or with my agriculture or my crops. Or my son would be my student under me, learning my skill, my vocation. So basically, if I have 10 sons, all of them will work for me. If I'm a grandfather, all my sons and his sons, my grandsons, work for me. And they will work under my estate or my manor. So this is speaking for people who are lords. If I'm a lord under the feudal system, which is basically all of the original systems that were under monarchies of kings. You had the king, you had the knight, you had the lord, and then you had servants or serfs or bondagemen, people that were under bondage. And basically, children were born not on the level of lord, but on the level of serfs or servants. And everybody that pretty much was not a lord, which would be cousins, nephews, brothers, sisters, they all would be serfs. They would work for you. So you have to understand, family very much is shallow and based on competition over resources. Who's going to be the Lord? Who's going to be the one that's going to run the house? That's why you can never have an adequate living situation between a husband and a wife unless one decides who's going to rule, which is a total paradox, right? It's a total paradox, and it don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? Because what we don't realize is this material world is all an illusion. None of it makes sense. All of it is innately corrupt and innately chaos and foolish. It don't make no sense. But basically, what's the point of having family if all you're going to do is compete with them and see who's going to rule the house or be the dominant? Humans are biologically animals, so we do the same thing animals would do. Well, if you look at wolves, the wolves have to always decide who's the alpha wolf, who's the dominant eldest male. In other species, they try to figure out who's the dominant alpha female, and she's the queen. She rules everything. But amongst wolves, lions, I think even goats, deer, many species of animals, they are fighting over competition to see who's going to dominate. And that group for wolves would be called a pack. Well, for humans, we call that family. It's just as cutthroat. None of the wolves really give a shit about each other or care about each other at all. They're all just utilities or tools to help with their success in hunting and surviving. So the alpha male is the one who becomes the lord. So family under the feudal system, under a monarchy, is nothing but servants, slaves. And in the animal kingdom, like a wolf, that would be nothing but betas. Family just means betas. Beta females and beta males under some lord or leader. So why would you want to put yourself in slavery or bondage? Black people were worried about what white people did to us in slavery, but we don't realize humans have been enslaving each other since the beginning of history. So that's all that family or society is. It's a slave system. It's a status system of competition. Who's going to be the leader and lead? So my advice, which you learn in this knowledge and going into the etymology of these words, my advice is for you not to fake and be pretentious and act like a good person. Definitely don't become evil based on this knowledge, but become holy. Seek the holy path, meaning renounce society and family. And what will happen? You will realize the truth, which is God. Period. So the scriptures to kind of prove that family is bondage, we're going to go to the Upanishads. The first one is the Niralamba Upanishad, and it says, bondage is the thought of I, mine, or father, mother, brother, house, and land. So bondage is even the thought of I, mine, father, mother, brother, house, which would be dome or house, or land. That's bondage. Why? Because that becomes that keeps you trapped in the root chakra or your ego. So it's bondage. You get trapped into the material world. And what happens is the Eastern systems have a concept of samsara, which basically means the wheel of reincarnation, birth, death, and reincarnation. Meaning you get trapped in this wheel and you can never realize your true knowledge of your own self, your soul, which is nothing but God. So you can never get realization of God, because you're trapped in the illusion and the bondage of what you call a family, which is nothing but a pecking order of survival. That's all it is. And brutality and competition. This is from the Maitreya Upanishads. A holy man should abandon his homeland like a thief released from prison. A holy man, remember, a good man ain't going to abandon his family. Remember that. But a holy man would escape from his family like a prisoner out of prison. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all it is. To be incarnated into a family is to reincarnate based on your karma or your debt of the sins that you committed against these genes, these other people. And your relatives, is like I said, is able to give you that balance, the scales of Ma'at. That's your relatives or your family. They're the scales of Ma'at. You have to pay. You have to pay the same service that you once made someone else do for you, and that's why you're born. That's why we're born eternally. You see, but the goal is of all humans should be to get spiritual liberation and never be born into bondage again. And that's what the holy men would seek. This is out of the Narada Upanishads. Remain far away, leaving the place of close relatives as a thief does when released from prison. There you go. Remain far away, leaving the place of close relatives or family, bondage, as a thief does when he gets released from prison. So all you're doing right now when you were born into your family is serving time in prison. And the best you can do is get off on good behavior, meaning treat your family with the best of your ability. You see what I'm saying? And your family will extend to your village and to your nation. But the point is, do these things for your family. Make sure that they're protected. Make sure they have provision or resources. Make sure that they have good relationships. That's how you grant and get rid of your bad dharma or your bad karma. And then you overcome dharma and you're able to get liberated. Meaning you're able to overcome this illusion. So now I said that family is bondage, but is family really an illusion or Maya or part of the matrix? Well, let's get to that. I'm going to prove that. Okay, this is out of the Mudgala Upanishad. It says, the 6 delusions are family, lineage, class, caste, stations, and forms. So all forms, this is nothing but a whole bunch of forms. Caste would be your level in society, your status in society. Class is the same thing. Lineage, your bloodline. And family, right? Bondage is nothing but what? An illusion. Those are the 6 major illusions, the 6 major ones that make you think that this is real. Your family will spend day in and day out convincing you that this material world is real, but really it's nothing but a very dense, stable dream. Whereas your dreams when you sleep are very unstable and they very lucid, meaning they're very non-lucid, and they're able to break apart real easy based on your imagination. But this reality is very dense. The atoms in your body dealing with particle physics, they damn near will never break apart ever. It's against the laws of gravity. It's against the laws of physics. And really, those laws are an illusion. What we really are is nothing but atomic particles. Our soul is nothing but a ball of fire, a ball of hydrogen gas. So the point is, you can never realize this truth or this knowledge by being attached to external forms. You have to go within. Because your real family that will never disappoint you, will never betray you is your own soul and these deities or these spirits, these angels that are within your body. In West Africa, we call them orishas. But the external world, yes, they're also angels or demons or deities too, but they're very unstable. They're not dependable. Why? Because they're Maya. They're full of flaws. And so at the end of the day, you're going to end up suffering trying to depend on a family, period. So let's get more proof that family is nothing but an illusion. Okay. This is out the volume of Purana. Disturbances of yoga. Now, yoga means yoking your mind, your soul to God, right? Yoking your soul to God. The spiritual practices to get you to get realization of God or to reach nirvana or moksha or mukti. These are all terms that just basically in the Christian system means the Holy Spirit or kokma, the knowledge of God, knowledge of self. So it says disturbances of you being able to get spiritual liberation or knowledge of self is being overly attached to relations, meaning you being overly attached to your relations. Becoming wealthy or attaining heaven. So people got this whole desire to attain heaven, and we'll get into that right now. There's 7 heavens. Like, these are the 7 chakras inside the body. But remember, the kingdom of heaven is within. So these 7 chakras are also the 7 heavens. A lot of people are attached to attaining heaven, which would be the solar plexus called Swarga. And that's the heaven where you get all of these levels of material luxuries and dainties and bliss. But the real goal is to get beyond these lower heavens and get to the spirit of God itself, to become one or get reunion or unity with the spirit of God, which is way up here in Satya Loka, which is the highest of the 7 realms. These are basically the 7 chakras as well: the Muladhara, the Swadhisthana, the Manipura, the Anahata, the Vishuddha, the Ajna, and the Sahasrara chakras. But these are also the lokas: Bhuvar, Swarga or Swaha, Maha, Tapa, Jhana, and Satya. So basically, all of those words I just named represent 7 distinct dimensional worlds or spaces that are simultaneously in your body and in the cosmos. And the point with that is that those 7 worlds are within your body as energy centers inside of your endocrine system and your nervous system, which are 7 organs that basically function in your body. And I'll go into those organs in the future. But basically, a lot of people desire, they have attachment to their relations, meaning they want to get to a certain level of luxury and bliss and materialism in a higher dimension, right? That's least dense than this one, but it's still what? Maya, an illusion. So it says the disturbance of yoga, or the disturbance of yoking yourself to God, is wanting to attain this 3rd realm called Swarga, or the solar plexus. The solar plexus called Manipura. So so it says the disturbance of yoga is being overly attached to family or relations, becoming wealthy. That's another one. Root chakra, trying to become wealthy. Root chakra. Or attaining heaven. Solar plexus. So those are the 3 lower chakras. Family, wealth, and heaven are the 3 lower chakras. All of these are illusions and they have to be conquered. There you go. Real simple. They're illusions and you have to conquer them. So that'll basically place you at the heart chakra. Once you get there, you'll realize all of the external world is within you, and God and the angels and the higher worlds or spirits and principles are within inside of your body too. So let's get to the next point. This is out of the Markandeya Purana. And it says, King Saurav, unable to stop his family after they cheated him because of the Mahamaya illusions of the world, human beings are deeply influenced by attachments. So, because of Maya, this king, he was deceived and betrayed by his family, but he was not able to see it for what it really was because he was attached to the illusion of them. And so you'll read later on in this story, in this Purana, this king eventually gets liberation once he's able to identify that they really are not his allies, but they really are not his enemies either. They really are just illusions to help him navigate through his karma. Chad. So, this is the Bhagavad Purana. It says, common people are easy targets of feelings, right? Common people, which are good people, the regular people, are common targets of emotions and feelings. They're vulnerable to attachment and they're vulnerable to affection. Affection basically is fake love, meaning conditional love. Not unconditional, but conditional love. That's fake attachment or love. Or fake affection. They're also targets or vulnerable to derangement in intellect, and they act irreligiously but think they're acting religious. They think that their behavior is religious. So the biggest chunk of population of the world that think that they're good, they think that they're actually acting spiritual or religious. But they really are acting non-spiritual and irreligious. And they're doing that because they think that their emotions and their feelings that are attached to their family and to this world and to people that are around them is supposed to be religious or spiritual. But really they don't realize they're doing the very opposite of what spiritual really is, which is to renounce the external world and depend on the internal world, right? To renounce the exoteric, which is the material world, the illusion, and to get into the knowledge of the esoteric, which is the inner, which is the reality, which is God. So like I said, it's a lot of people that are under the conviction, under the preconception or the preconception or the misconception that they are spiritual because they call themselves being a good person and having affection for their family and for whoever. But really, it's a derangement of their intellect. It's delusion or ignorance. Basically, like I said, family, the external world, you can find these same principles of pata, mata, mahat or mata, the sun or your willpower, the daughter, the dohita or ushas or the dawn, which would be inspiration or your ideas, your brother, bharata, which would be the devotion or your actions for your soul or your light, savasa, your good vasas or your good influence or good wishes, or good vasanas, which are basically mental impressions, your uncle, which would be your ancestor, your aunt, which would be your other ancestor, your female ancestor, your nephew, which would be your nephews or your aunt, which is like the principle of not being pata, but every other spirit but pata. And your parent, which would be your Purusha or Prakriti. These are two aspects of the divine feminine and divine masculine. They both are within you. The Shiva Shakti. Shiva represents your consciousness, or your soul, your soul. And the Shakti represents your energy, right? Your desire to realize your soul. So that's Shiva Shakti or Shiva and Parvati, but also Purusha and Prakriti. Or Brahma Saraswati, Prajapati, Mahamati. Your kin is nothing but your genes, your genies, which are within you, your ancestral spirits. Your siblings are nothing but links to your own soul, your own self. Your cousin is nothing but a link to your own self. Your relatives are your atlas, meaning your spinal column, your map, your guideline, your pillar. They're also your tellus. They're also your balance, right? Your terra, your balance. They're also your scales. So your scales, the hall of Ma'at is within you. The duat is within you. The halls of Amenta or Amenti are within you. You got to read the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti. So basically, all of these spiritual concepts and principles are inside of you already. What happened is that you are your great-great-grandfather, and through his semen, he was able to break his genes and splice them into genes that already were within him at some point. Because remember, we all have a common ancestor. So what we're dealing with is a diversity of genes and their expression, but all of them come from one place, which is from God. And all of that means that all of your common ancestors and the people that you see outside of you are still within you, period. And these are the principles that they represent. So with that, let's give some scriptures to prove that. Okay, this is out of the Narada Upanishad. It says, he does not stand in the way of others' progress. He, meaning the holy man, does not stand in the way of others' progress. So don't stand in the way of other people's progress. Meaning, don't depend on them for anything, because when you do that, you burden them. So just take the holy path and just renounce it, because they're going to disappoint you anyway. Maybe not at the beginning, the first 3 stages of your relationship or family or society, but when it gets to that 4th state, which is the decay, the fall, they're going to disappoint you. So just know, inevitably, everything dies. So even relationships, even societies. So it's going to come. So you might think that they're dependable, they're going to disappoint you today because you're in the 2nd state or the 3rd state. But when that 4th state comes, they're going to disappoint. So, or they're going to betray you, or they're going to become your enemy, period. Discarding everything other than his bare body. There you go. The holy man discards everything but his bare body. Because remember I said your whole family is what within you. So you don't need the external world. All of these deities and principles are inside of your own subconscious or your own psychology, period, and biology. And that holy man deeply meditating on his self meaning God, the Atma, Paratma, the true Pata, the Paratman, the true parent, the Paratman, his own self, right? He becomes liberated. Liberated from what? Bondage. And family is just one of the bondages. There's other bondages like materialism, money, sex, ego, status, society, this world. There's a lot of bondages. But basically, by only depending on that self and discarding everything other than what's inside of your own body, your own psychology, and these different organs in your body, you are able to get liberated. You're able to what? Open your chakras. And open your chakras just means open up the latent nerves and vessels inside of your spinal column to help you secrete the proper hormones to have God realization within inside your body, which we might call meditation, which the Hindus call dhyana. But that process or that outcome, that goal, the Eastern systems call moksha, nirvana, samadhi, turiyata, or turiya. Many names, but all it's just saying is you reach a certain level of enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment. And you can't do that if you're just a good person. All you're going to do if you're a good person, you have a good family, is you're going to be able to have good dharma. You're going to reap up good dharma. Meaning you're going to undo the karma or bad deeds that you've done before the body that you're in now. So all you're really doing is maintaining if you're being a good person. But you get benefits, but those benefits are going to eventually lead to suffering. What are the benefits? You can get joy, peace, pleasure, luxury, all of that. But it's going to come with a price. Because all of that luxury, money, power, prestige, opportunity, all comes at the expense of everybody around you. If there is a man that's so rich, he's only rich because people are poor. Everything has this duality. So everything has this circumstance. So if you want to have pleasure or enjoyment or whatever with your family and have a good family, you got to understand that's only going to be for you to attain a good level of dharma. And dharma basically means the law, right? A good level of undoing your ancestral sins. There you go. And that might be considered the curses in the Bible. It's called curses. Read Deuteronomy 28. Read all over the scriptures. Deuteronomy chapter 30, 31, 32 talks about these curses. Well, they're dealing with ancestral curses based on sins. So if you're just doing good and want to build a good family, you're going to just be removing those ancestral sins. No, not even removing them, just maintaining them, not making it worse. But if you become holy, you burn up and remove all of those sins, and you get spiritually liberated. So that holy path is the path of nirvana, the path of sadhana or samadhi, or the path of spiritual enlightenment in English. The good is not. The evil is the path of going lower than these chakras, called the patala realms, which are the lower 7 chakras. And that will be Atala, Sutala, Talatala, Vitala, and Narakatala, and Talatala. So these are all talas, basically hellish regions, hellish realms, which most of the black community is in, the realm of the 7 demons. So, like I said, I'm promoting pretty much for those who have an open ear, who will keep it in consideration, the holy path. But the good path, like I said, is going to be necessary for most people because most people are trapped in their families in that bondage because they have children or they in a living situation or they too attached. So the good will not necessarily get spiritually liberated in this life, but you can at least have a satisfied life, and you can do that by living by these principles. If you're a father, live by that. Mother, live by that. Brother, live by that. Sister, live by that. What I put here on the board, and don't block the light of what you are to the other family member. Don't block the energy. Give them that energy. And if not, you're nothing but an enemy. And I gave you the formula or the context of how you'll know. Okay, this is from the instructions of Amenemhat. Fill not thy heart with a brother, and know not a trusted friend. Make for thyself no familiar dependence. In these things is no satisfaction. Instructions of Amenemhat. Again, it says, when thou liest down, have care for thy very life, since friends exist not for a man in the day of misfortunes. So it's real key. Friends and family do not exist for a man in the day of misfortunes. They do become a friend or family if they do help you with protection, provision, and your relationships. But if they don't help you in that day of your misfortunes, they're not your family or your friend, period. This is from the Babylonian Job. It says, the gods gave perverse speech to the human race. With lies and not truth, they endowed them forever. So that's out of the Sumerian or Babylonian text. And you got to understand that that's written before the Bible. But in Genesis, which is in the Bible, we read about the Tower of Babel when the angels came down and destroyed it. And they confounded the languages of men, so they be speaking confusion to each other. Well, like I said, that's these spells. And what we did today is we broke those spells. But the problem is because people use language and they don't really say what they mean because they don't really know what they mean, they're really speaking lies and confusion. So meaning they're pretentious. They're not giving you the truth. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to give you the truth beyond the ignorance of what's these spells or this magic or this incantation. I'm breaking it so you'll be able to see reality for what it really is. Okay, so now we're going to read out of the Gnostic text, the teachings of Sylvanus. Now this is in the Nag Hammadi library, and it's also in other texts, other canons, but we're going to read out the Nag Hammadi library. Okay, the teachings of Sylvanus. Do not trust anyone as a friend, for this whole world has come into being deceitfully. There we go again, deceitfully. The whole world illusion has come into being as an illusion or deceitfully. It's a lie. There is no one, not even a brother, who is trustworthy. There is no one, not even a brother, Bharata, who is trustworthy. So he might help you with his devotion to your light or your soul, but you can't trust it. Be your own devotion to your own light or your soul. So there is no one, not even a brother, who is trustworthy, since each one is seeking his own advantage. Like I said, each one is seeking the success over the competition over resources, over money or power. Entrust yourself to God alone. Entrust yourself to that spirit within you alone, as your father and as your friend. So as your parent, right, and as your siblings or relatives, only your own soul, not the external, but the internal, your inner world. For everyone proceeds deceitfully, while the whole earth is full of suffering and pain, things in which there is no profit. If you wish to pass your life in quiet or in peace, do not keep company with anyone. And if you do keep company with them, be as if you do not keep company with them. So very key. So what that means is the holy path. Renounce the whole social system, the whole world. Renounce it. Okay, like I said earlier, your ancestors can benefit from you taking this holy path, renouncing the external and accepting the internal, because these same family members are nothing but external representations of your internal genes or ancestors, which are called genies or igungun and so on. So let's quote that. Okay, this is out of the Mandala Brahmana Upanishad. It says, ascetics or holy men make all family members for 100 generations free of bondage. So you not only liberate yourself and free yourself from the bondage of this material world, this human existence, but you also free the ancestors that are trapped in your body, that are trapped in your family members. So the real love you can show for your family members is not by showing them external affection and fake love, pretentious love, through these fake methods, which is not for nothing but material success. But you can show true love to them within you because they're your genes. When your family members die or pass on, remember, they're either in their children's body or they already in your body as your genes. Because your relatives and your family members are nothing but your ancestors, period, that have incarnated in your mother's womb or your aunt's womb or your grandmother's womb. That's who your family members are. They're your ancestors that have reincarnated. And this is an African concept called Yetunde or Babatunde or Atunwe, which basically just means reincarnation. And it means ancestral reincarnation. So you can help your ancestors, which is your relatives, just by taking this holy path and renouncing the world. If you want to know how to renounce the world, some call it opening the chakras. They have many different types of words for it. I'll be documenting that right here with my videos. Just subscribe and I'll be going into that. The Sannyasa Upanishads, it says, man who says I have renounced raises the glory of 60 generations of family before him and 60 generations after him. So for a man who has renounced this illusion, this world and this bondage, he has lifted his ancestors 60 generations before, 60 generations after. Check. So meaning they're able to attain the heavenly realms or even the highest heaven and get fully liberated if you decide to renounce the external family and get in tune with the internal family, which is your own soul, your own ancestors. So I'm going to put this in context because what I don't want to be misunderstood. I'm not saying that you should hate or resent your family. I'm saying you should renounce your attachment for anything or anybody that's external to your soul. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you should hate or resent. I'm not saying you should continue on living and just become bitter. No, you want to realize that all is God, that God is his soul, or I'm sorry, his essence or its essence, God's essence, its essence, is the soul of all human beings. The problem is, it's very rare that a human being becomes holy enough to realize this. Most humans try their hardest to be good, but that's not good enough to become holy and realize God within. So most humans are not even going to realize God. So you can't blame them or judge them or hate them. You have to have understanding of what they are and what they need to do or what they're going to do. And you have understanding of, in response to that, what you need to do for your soul. Because if you realize the truth, you need to liberate yourself. It's that simple. Because this is your opportunity, or this is only a few people's opportunity. Not everybody's going to take this opportunity. And what is the opportunity? In the Kali Yuga, or in the age of decay, the state of decay, the fourth season, the winter, it's an opportunity for all of the people who are ready to renounce this material world to have an opportunity to renounce. Because once it decays, you can get free from the bondage of it. It's like chains that start to rot and rust. You can break the chains. And just by chanting the names of God and by doing meditation and by getting into jnana or gnana, which is gnosis or knowledge, you can get liberated. But this is your opportunity in the Kali Yuga, because in the previous states, life seemed too good for you to want to detach from it. But once the Kali Yuga gets so rough and so it disturbs your soul, which it will do that through the illusion of your family turning on you, or your society turning on you, or you getting misfortune. You have to realize there's nothing but the reality starting to decay the illusion. The illusion is nothing but what seems good about this world. Well, the reality is this world is nothing but chaos and flaw. It's totally flawed. It's not perfect. The reality is the truth. This false reality is a lie. You see, an illusion. It's not temporary. It's not immortal or eternal. So once that light begins to burn the darkness, which means the Kali Yuga is here, it's starting to destroy or decay or bring death to the illusion. That's your opportunity to see that, experience that, and become liberated. So it's not for you to resent those who are your enemies or not your allies, or your family that doesn't have your back. It's for you to accept that will help you pay for your sins, because you once oppressed your family that's oppressing you. Everything has a cause and effect. You see what I'm saying? So it's all just you paying for the repercussions of your previous ancestors' oppression or sins against others, that your family in turn turns on you, because that's what this material world is decaying. It's always rebirth, which is the illusion, and then it starts to die, which is the reality. So once that reality starts to dawn and you see it for what it is, that's your opportunity for liberation. So it's not to hate your family, but it's help you to understand, if you're trying to be good, this is how your family will help you. If you're evil, this is why you're evil. If you're trying to be holy, I'm showing you why you should renounce it all, because that's the external. You want to go to the internal, which is where God is. The kingdom of heaven is what within, period. So we're going to read this out of the teachings of Sylvanus. It says, entrust yourself to God alone as Father and as your friend. For everyone proceeds deceitfully, while the whole earth is full of suffering and pain, things in which there is no profit. So the reason why your family or your friends or society will become your enemy and antagonistic against you for what you might think is for no reason is because everyone innately is disturbed or suffering. When we're born, right out the gate, we're ignorant. So we're very desperate to get knowledge so we can have power over our circumstances or over life. Meaning we have power to deceive and manipulate things. So that's coming out of a suffering, meaning a ignorance. When you're born, you're hungry. That hunger, if you don't eat anything, you'll just suffer in it. So your tactics to feed yourself is nothing but coming from your suffering. People are born with all different types of flaws and all types of asanas and samskaras and vrittis. These are all Sanskrit spiritual words that basically just means they're born effed up with all kinds of flaws. So people try to compensate for those flaws. And a lot of times you can be the victim of them trying to compensate or them trying to compete or make way for themselves. So it's not personal to your soul. They may hate you, who they see, but they don't even know your soul. Because if you don't know it, how they know it? So you have to understand that suffering and pain is the origins for where all of this brutality and deception and competition is coming from. It's not coming from anything personal. It's not a personal gripe against you. So don't hate them. It's about having understanding. Don't judge them. Understand it. And with that, like I said, I'll summarize this all by just saying, for those who are on the path of in the world where you want to be a good family man, a householder, and make money and all that, well, follow the good path and make sure you have these family members around you. Make sure they don't block your light, throw shade on your light, so you can receive all of these principles you need to grow into that lotus flower. But remember, the highest of the lotus flower you're going to be is to the solar plexus and maybe the heart chakra. You'll never be able to, if you depend on the world by being good, ever be able to open the Sahasrara chakra or the crown chakra. It's impossible, because as soon as you get the energy to blossom that flower, you'll be giving all of that pollen and that energy of that flower into you creating children and sons and daughters. And you'll create the cycle all over again. So what that means is you make it to the solar plexus and you have to reincarnate again into the root chakra. And you'll keep doing that until you learn how to get realization of God and get liberated. But for those who take the holy path, not the good path, the holy path, you should recognize that the external world is an illusion, like we just broke down, and it's bondage of your soul, and getting to your internal family, which is where the kingdom of God is and the truth is, and get spiritual liberation, and you can open the crown chakra, right? You can open the seventh gate of Guinea. You can go into the realm of Keter on the tree of life, of the Kabbalistic tree of life, the Etch Kahim. You can go to the seventh loka or the seventh heaven, which in the Hebrew system is called Araboth. That's in the book of Enoch, Araboth, or the Satya Loka or Brahma Loka, or Vayakuntha or Golika. That's all Hindu words for the seventh heaven. And so you can get there by taking this holy path and getting liberation and finding God within. So this is what the spiritual journey is for the holy path. The physical journey is the good. The evil is basically called tamasic. And for those, basically none of what I share with you is going to help you at all. If you just fixed on being evil, basically you're going to totally destruct and have to reincarnate. And when you reincarnate, you're going to reincarnate with a whole lot of bad karma, meaning your children, your great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren are going to be born having to pay for the repercussions and circumstances of your actions. And it's not going to look good because they might be enslaved, they might be raped, they might be all levels of torture, whatever you can imagine, because of your shallowness and evilness or wickedness in this life. So basically, with that, I suggest you all take in consideration the holy path, and just know the general truth that your family is an illusion. And for the most part, in this age, they're going to be your enemies. And what makes them an enemy? If they do not support you with your protection, your money, resources, and your relationships, they're an enemy. So with that, peace.